So, good afternoon. Today is Tuesday, September 21st, 2021. First of all, shout outs to Oz and Mr. DJ Randall. Their podcast is entitled Opinions While Black. You can hear it every Monday on Spotify. I've also lifted from their podcast, NSFW. My podcast also is not safe for whites. So I'm really looking at these 675,000 plus individuals that have been lost to COVID. That's a lot of Americans that are gone because of COVID. I'm asking that we search our hearts and search our minds. And if we have not gotten vaccinated, let me encourage you to do so, just so that we as a nation can become more healthy. It's important. And I realize that there are those that are not going to do it forever for whatever reason, but those of the rest of you that can come to some kind of something, some kind of motivation within yourself to know you're unvaccinated, get out there and get vaccinated so that we all can enjoy living in this wonderful democracy. We have lost more than 675,000 individuals, husbands, wives, brothers, sisters, aunts, uncles, siblings, because you've refused to get vaccinated. And you are filling up our hospitals and our, what do you call them, essential workers are getting tired. We're going to have to give them a break. We're going to have to give our doctors and nurses and all the care a break. We're hitting trauma critical stages now. I'm just saying, I know I sound like everything that you've heard on TV since we got started with this thing called COVID. But let me just invite you then, if you've not gotten vaccinated, to get out there and do so. Help us protect each other and help us protect ourselves. That's one. I've given my shout out to Oz and DJ. The podcast is entitled Opinions While Black. Okay, so I'm trying to breathe in so I don't sound like a rambling, ranting female. But this thing about women's rights, come on, men. Come on, my brothers. You have no right to be in my body, 'cause my body is mine and your body is yours. Let me just invite you to think a new thought. You're not going to stop me from either not having children or having children. Because once we engage in a sexual activity with you and it promotes or it provides the opportunity for us to get pregnant, it then becomes my choice, my female choice, whether or not I want to do these 288 days or not. It's my choice. It's not yours. And I understand why you're frustrated right now, because my white nationalist and my white supremacist and my segregationist, you're looking at your numbers. I know that the Anglo numbers are going down. I know that. Because white women are not having your children. You can't make them. You can't make them keep them. And you have no right to make me get rid of them. Because it's my body. You can put all kind of legislation in there if you want to, but just hear me. It's my body, my woman's body, my body. And you have no right to be in it. You have nothing to say about it. So you need to get off your high horses, do away with Roe v. Wade. You know, stack your Supreme Court to help them do away with Roe v. Wade. And the next 10 years, when the census comes out again, you're still not going to get your numbers because women control their bodies. They don't have to tell you men one blasted thing. If I don't feel like sharing with you that I'm pregnant, and I don't feel like being pregnant, it's not going to be in my best interest to be pregnant, there's nothing you can do to stop me, female, from getting rid of this child. It's not your business. It's not your body. And you need to get out of it. So, white separatists, I understand. White nationalists, I understand. And segregationists, I understand. But what you need to understand is that it's not the game. It's just that there are more of me than there are of you. There are more people of color. Do you understand what that means? That means that your white women are not having sex with white men. They're choosing other ethnicities to do that. And since you haven't gotten rid of Plessy, I know it's not Plessy, it's the one that says there's one drop of blood. I don't know which amendment this is. But since you have not done away with it, we still recognize that one drop of any blood other than white makes you, by just happenstance, a minority. So now our numbers are building, they're growing. So you have the white woman who's not having sex with white men. You have the brown woman who's having sex with her men, brown men, and are white but brown. You have the dark brown woman, Afghanistan cabal, who are coming here as an immigrant or refugee. They too will come to engage in sex and have children, children of color. And then you have all the other women of color, Asian, Native American, all of the other women of color that are having children with their men of color. You nationalist, supremacist, segregation, you're outnumbered. And unfortunately, there is no way you can catch up. Let me say that one more time. There is no way you white men can catch up. Just look around. That's why you raising Cain. Because you looked around and everywhere you look, someone has decided to step outside of their ethnicity and step into others. And so now you have what you hate to call, but it is truthfully the browning of America. Do you know how that's going to change the whole scheme? And by 2050, 2030, 2050, do you realize how what you think you're going to uh, mm, stop from happening? Oh, that's with your women's rights and abortion rights and all these laws you're trying to put in place. It's just to save your women. It ain't got nothing to do with the rest of us. Because the rest of us are going to do what we've been doing, which has been having children. And you can't make me stop as long as I live in the United States. And I'm a citizen of the United States. And I'm a person of color in the United States. You cannot stop me from having children. You're working on your white female, but that's you and that's her cross. And they're not going there right now. We need to celebrate our essential workers. We need to say thank you for your time and your energy. Just thank you. I want you to thank you for continue to be patient with the rest of us that are non-vaccinated and creating these problems of overflow in your health care facilities. But I thank you so much for the care that you do provide and that you have provided. And I too join you with being saddened that the United States of America has lost more than 675 individuals to the COVID virus. I'm going to ask once again for those that are unvaccinated to please get vaccinated. So now I want to talk about our stories. I've not opened my podcast up, so I don't have an exchange. But what I do know is when it is opened up and we do have an opportunity to exchange, that you have a story and I have a story. I'm going to listen to your story and I invite you to listen to mine because my first podcast was, oh my God, is there anybody else out here who's struggling, who's just going through something? Is there anyone else out there outside of me? And I'm going to assume that once I've opened this podcast up and you've had the opportunity to engage in conversations with me or leave messages for me, that we are going to come to being thankful that we are here. And we're just going to be thankful. And yesterday I did the same thing. I said, we're going to be thankful and we're going to be happy. And being happy is a job. It takes work to be happy. Happiness is not just a given. You have to get up and do something. You have to engage with individuals outside of yourself. And then once we step outside of ourselves to engage with someone else, we have to be patient and understand that just like I'm going through something, you perhaps may be going through something too. Because every day that I've been getting up, and I've been getting up for 75 years, every day that I've been getting up, it's been something I've had to look at and had to address and had to modify my behaviors. So I'm just asking all of us to learn how to get in a happy frame of mind. The only person that really is going to help you to be happy is yourself. Guess what, guys? Nobody else is interested in whether I'm sad or not. It's too many people. There are 331 million individuals in the United States of America, and each of us have a story. And each of these stories can be shared so that we can now gauge, the truth of when they say it's not one way, we can say, yes, it is. I just don't speak often. I don't call in often. I don't, I don't, I don't send emails or telephone often, but I am out here and I am struggling. And now I am choosing to engage with the rest of us. It's a choice. Every day we're able to get up, breathe, inhale these 86,400 seconds for that day. We have to work at being happy. We have to work at how we speak to individuals outside of our residence. We have to understand that they may be going through something too. I can almost bet your sweet bottom that if they're getting up and they're stepping outside of their homes, trying to engage in what we call America, it may not be to their liking. So we have to encourage one another to work on our own happiness so that it can be shared with the rest of us. Most of us appreciate individuals that one don't make the story, don't make the challenge, the need all about them. That we open up our hearts to engage that maybe you're going through something too, and can I at this point get some of my concerns looked at and cared for. We have to work at being happy. It's a job. It does not, it does not, it does not come easy. Because I don't know which podcast I'm on, but I know from one to wherever I am today, it has not been easy getting up. It hasn't been easy sitting down. It hasn't been easy turning on this camera to do my podcast. It hasn't been easy, and I haven't been happy every day I've sat down. But I found out once through my sharing my story and my just believing that I'm not the only person out here that has a similar story, I'm good. And all I want to project now is that we come to some level of peace within our own consciousness. And it takes work for us to get there. Because other people outside of ourselves can always make us feel uncomfortable about some issue, and we don't tell them the truth. It takes work to be happy. It takes work to listen. Listening is a sign of respect. And so everybody is not always interested in your story. The question is, do you have enough empathy to let someone else share their story with us? Listening is a sign of respect. I always say, what must we tell our children? We must tell our children the truth about relationships, the truth about finances, the truth about education or not, but the truth about how to become a productive citizen. These are our challenges, and these are our truths that we must share with our children. We have to understand that the best does not exist. The best of being perfect. These are just figments of our imagination. They don't apply once we get up, breathe, inhale these 86,400 seconds, and begin our day. We have to blend in. And everybody may or may not be willing to hear and or not share whatever it is we're trying to get across to them. We must be patient with other people. We must understand that they may be going through something too. We have to take the opportunity to pause in whatever our requests are to listen to what the other person is saying to us. And then we have to understand that being happy is a job. We have to work on it. We have to work with it. I'm going to ask you again. I don't know why we keep talking about it, but I've been here since 1619, and my transition over the 75 years in America has been just like every other ethnic group that came here, and how you used us to make your stories great. Everybody has one. And let me just say that the white nationalist, white supremacist, new segregationist, your story is not new. But what you have to do is have a re-challenging or reviewing of your mindsets. You have to rethink some things. You have to understand that there are more of us, people of color, than they are of you. So Ted Cruz and Lindsey Graham and Mitch McConnell and Josh Hollins and all of my preachers, you know who you are, and you know what you're preaching. And I have a list, but my list is too long to read every day. But I just gave you the ones that Dan Patrick. The lieutenant governor of Texas, knows everything about these segregation academies because they were under his watch that they have been instituted. So Dan Patrick and Greg Abbott and Lindsey Graham and John Boehner, not there, but still in there, and Mark Meadows, not there, but still in there, and Donald Trump, not there, but trying to get back for 2024. Mitch McConnell, who has been there for 34 years. David Duke, white separatist, Newt Gingrich, Paul Ryan, Marjorie Taylor Greene, who has a horrible, oh my God, horrible, the right to bear arm commercial. It's just horrible. It is horrible. Kevin McCarthy, Meghan McCain, Candace Owens, Laura Ingraham, Ron DeSantis, Jesse Duplantis, Kenneth Copeland, yes, Bill Hagee, Matthew Hagee, Ed Young, Joel Osteen, Creflo Dollar, T.D. Jakes, Bill Gates, Jeff Bezos, Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi, Sean Hannity, Tucker Carlson, all of you, Larry Elders, thank God you did not win in California. Ron Paul, you need to be gone. You're saying the wrong thing about COVID vaccination. Symphonia Thompson, Jess Jensen, Josh Holland, Justin Amash, Thomas Massey, Ted Yoho, Louis Gohmert. The new 2021 segregation list, all these folks that I just named have gotten rich at our expense. Because with just the names that I called off, and Mitch McConnell being there 34 years, and the rest of them have been there plus 10. Why is it we still have horrible, I'm sorry, I can do this even better. Why is it that the A1, the H.R.4, the John Lewis Voter Rights Advancement Act, why has it not passed? Why is H.R. 35, the Emmett Till Anti-Lynching Act, why has this not passed? Why has H.R. 40, the committed to study and develop reparations? This was introduced in 1989. It is 32 years. It has come up 32 years and you voted against it for 32 years. Why am I still asking you to vote for H.R. 1280, the George Floyd Justice in Policing Act of 2021? Why am I still asking you to vote for Senate Bill 3178, the Justice for Victims of Lynching Act 2018? Why am I still coming to you asking you guys to do the right thing? We got to keep our focus. Once I open this up, we have to keep our focus on these individuals because they're getting rich at our expense. I'm not getting it because you've been here long enough, man, to get a crime bill done. You know, if you don't like the George Floyd, what are you coming up with? Immigration. You have nothing. Let me just say this because truthfully, I am so, at 75, I am so disappointed with the Democratic Party. You don't have a you don't have an agenda that you don't know how to create an agenda that will get passed for the benefit of the majority of us that live in the United States. Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, come on. Who? Oh my girl, what's her name? Not Sophronia Thompson, but the other Sheila Jackson Lee. And the Al, come on, guys. You have been there too long for us not to get the George Floyd uh and the George Floyd police. Let me get it right. It's the George Floyd Justice in Policing Act, H.R. 1280. You have not gotten that passed. I don't understand. You may have passed it in the House, but you didn't pass it in the Senate. The day that it came up for vote in the Senate, because it was George Floyd's funeral, nobody was there to vote for this except Rand Paul. And this little, oh, I started to call him something ugly. This individual, this man, was the one that voted against it and has not come up again. Okay? And that was a Senate Bill 3178. You know, another anti-lynching bill. Why the hell are you still lynching me and shooting me? You've not improved since 1619. Look at the border in Del Rio and how you are moving the Haitians out. Look at how quickly you found the white girl. What her name? Well, there's just a new thing now for young white blonde women or just white women that have gone missing. Why is there not the same concern about women of color, Native Americans, Hispanic Americans, African Americans who have been killed and are missing? Why is there nothing said about them? What? Oh my Jesus! I don't understand why you do what you do. So I have no immigration bill, and you've been there 34 years. I have no gun legislation. You've been there 34 years. I have no. You want to abolish health care and replace it with what? What are you going to do? What are we going to do about the environment? We need welfare reform. It's not me that's getting welfare. That's you giving welfare to your white people. The Dole people, the Peach people, the meat the meat people, all of y'all, the 1,000 acre farm people, beef and vegetable. They're the ones getting the subsidies now, not white folk, not black folk. And your white kids are going through however you do this loophole to get them in your segregated academies. It's all, look, white nationalist, white supremacist, and segregationist. Your time is coming to an end. I've dealt with you for 75 years. You can best bet these young children now, these young children of color now, more of them than they are of yours. You can send them to all the academies you want, where they can learn their white heritage all you want. Once they leave that environment and they decide to engage in a relationship, it the possibility of it being white relationship is null and void. So you're gonna have to think a new thought. And we're gonna have to come together. Just appreciate and learn how to do the right thing. You got women's rights, men, you got to get out of my body. Voter suppression, you need to stop. Unemployment, you need to pick it up. And all this 3.5 trillion infrastructure, it needs to happen too. So these are things that you white nationalists, white supremacists, white segregationists, and all those individuals from Dan Patrick all the way down to Louis Gohmert, that you're going to have to think a new thought. So if you don't want to do it, if you don't have the courage, okay, then women, it's a charge to keep we have. We must put our big girl panties on, and we must consider joining forces for the improvement of the material conditions of all our communities. So who has to come together? The black woman, the white woman, the brown woman, the dark brown woman, the woman of color, the poor woman, the poor white women, and you know who you are. And poor women across the board whose life conditions have made them vulnerable. We are going to have to come together and demonstrate to our men how to have peace in our communities. Oh my God, I'm just praying for peace because on the opposite of peace is war, and I don't think you want war here. So I'm asking we women to come together. Like I always say, I'm asking we women to come together and give a shit about these material conditions in our communities. We've got to work on improving them. We've got to work on improving all. Okay? So I thank you for listening today. It's Tuesday. And I'm going to work on being happy because I'm going through some things too. And so that's why I can tell you getting up happy is a job. Continuing to be happy throughout the day is a job. That I'm trying to put my best foot forward. I try to get up every morning and put my big girl panties on to deal with the life that I've been given, that I've got to work on. I trust that we get up, that we can dial in these 86,400 seconds and begin our day to accomplish positive outcomes. So we're going to breathe, we're going to pray, we're going to play, we're going to rest, and then we're going to repeat when necessary. But we're leaving today understanding that happiness is a job and that we need to work on being happy every day. That we need to say thank you to our essential workers, our doctors, our nurses, our healthcare folk that are overrun right now. We need to say thank you for still asking and still giving of yourselves to take care of the rest of us. So we women must begin now to give a shit. We must begin to know our worth, and we need to speak about our worth often. And we need to share our stories because everybody has one. When this podcast opens up, I hope there are a lot of listeners that are going through the same shit I'm going through. Because let me tell you right now, on me making myself happy, yeah, I'm trying to work on that. But once I get out here and have to interact with the rest of the world, it's not. I, you sure not to blow a person's happiness. So I have to come back and I have to recalibrate and understand that our children are watching us and they need to see us successfully navigate through these things called a relationship. It takes work. So I'm just asking we women, please let's give a shit. When life is hard, we grow. Now that's what a person older than me told me. I'm going, when life is hard, we grow. Well, I sometimes in my life is I don't feel like growing. But hey, growing through the experience does give us more wings or another star on our wings. So, women, you know, we're being complicit in our not getting together in some things. And, you know, white women, you've been complicit because you've been voting since 1921. So this crime bill, immigration, gun, environment, welfare, women's rights, voter suppression, voting rights, education, unemployment, these are all things on the table. And they're there. But we women have to become complicit because some of the things we're doing, women, we should not have food insecurities. We shouldn't have housing insecurities. We shouldn't have economic insecurities. We shouldn't have transportation insecurities. We should not have educational insecurities. We should not have labor insecurities because there are more of us than there are of men. And we need to come together and collectively vote for improving the material conditions in all of our communities. And since our men will not, have not, do not intend to do it, we need to put our big girl panties on and number one say, get the hell out of my body because you don't control it. You have to deal with the fact that your women are not having children. You have to deal with the fact that my women, women of color, are. And there are more of me than there are of you. So today is Tuesday. I just ask that we work on ourselves in terms of happiness. That we remind ourselves once we leave our house to thank everybody that is of assistance to us, whether it is a Uber person or a Walgreens or a CVS or a doctor, whomever it is. Let's all try to have peace in our lives, because human kindness is overflowing. Respecting human dignity should be overflowing. And we need to turn this hate into love. You don't control my body, and you don't control who I'm in a relationship with. And you're going to have to free black people sooner or later, white nationalists, supremacists, segregationists. You're going to have to get off of the black folk. You're going to have to rethink some things. You've been nasty a long time. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday. I'll try to have some better thoughts, but same thoughts on tomorrow. Yours in liberty.